All right, thank you for being patient. I call the meeting to order. The time is approximately 7:40. Can we begin with a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Bliss.
Here.
Councilman Clark.
Here.
Councilman Corbett.
Here.
Councilman Gettings.
Here.
Councilwoman Scott. Councilman Soltis.
Here.
Mayor Hartwell.
I'm here. Can I please have a motion to excuse Councilwoman Margene Scott from tonight's meeting?
Your Honor.
Mr.
So
Corbett,
moved.
thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Mr. Gettings, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right, we have an invocation tonight to be given by Mayor Pro Tem Bliss, so would you please rise if you're able and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear wise and loving Heavenly Father, let me first thank you in advance for the thoughts, comments, and concerns from those who are with us in person here tonight, as well as those who watch this meeting at home. Also, thank you to all of the outstanding leaders in our schools, community groups, who are all working hard to move this city forward, some of them here tonight. Loving Heavenly Father, I come to you this hour asking for your blessings and help as we are gathered together. I pray that you guide our counsel in the matters at hand, and I ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Help us to work together to encourage each other to excellence as we focus on making this community even more prosperous with each and every passing day. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, we can skip the acting clerk. Okay, approval of the agenda. We have 5 proposed additions to the agenda tonight, so I'd ask for one motion to add all 5 of those under one motion. So would someone be so kind? Mr. Corbett?
Did you need the appointment of the acting clerk first, or was that already?
I was told we're good. Do we have to do it again?
Your Honor, we typically do that on a meeting-by-meeting basis, yes.
Well, then, rather than run the risk of serious malfeasance, I would move to reappoint Ms. Sanchez to the duties of acting city clerk.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Clark?
Support.
See a motion made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilman Clark, to appoint Ramona Sanchez as the acting city clerk. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries. And I invite any motions to add any items to the agenda.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Corbett?
So I would move to add 5 additional items, a series related by employment contracts, the tentative agreement we have with the Municipal Employees Technical Professional Office Workers Association. That would be D4. D5 would be our tentative agreement with the department heads, AFSCME, Council 25, Local 1917.34. Additionally, item D6, which would incorporate our agreement with the Supervisors and Assistants Union, AFSCME Council 25, 1917.33. In addition, D7, which would be our tentative agreement with the 43rd District Court employees and the 43rd District Court. And finally, sir, D8, which would be our tentative agreement with the Madison Heights TPOAM, which is the Department of Public Service Workers.
Thank you. Is there support for the motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Clark?
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item to add these 5 reports? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Any other additions or deletions to the agenda? Thank you. Okay, we can skip ahead to reports. The first report is D1 from the DPS Director regarding the West Nile virus abatement reimbursement. Mr. Myers?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, gosh, yeah. All right. Besides technical difficulties, I think my brain is short-circuiting. Reports on agenda of interest to parties in the audience. All right, meeting's open to the public now. Before we get to reports, would anyone like to address City Council on any subject? Do so now, please.
My name's Gloria Moore. I live at 27368 Dartmouth. Friends of the Madison Heights Area Senior Citizens is having another third Tuesday meeting, July 18th at 7 p.m. at Wilkinson. Everyone's invited. Beverages and snacks are on us. Also, if nothing goes wrong, August 19th, Saturday, we will be having our community barbecue and picnic over at Hoffman. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Would anyone else like to address City Council? The meeting's open to the public. All right, no one's asked to be recognized. We'll continue on the agenda to reports. D1 from the DPS Director, the West Nile virus resolution.
Yes, Your Honor. Again, this year, the city is eligible for reimbursement from Oakland County for project expenses related to our fight against the West Nile virus. The Department of Public Services recently sent crews out in May to drop larvicide briquettes in each residential catch basin throughout the city. These briquettes, which last 180 days, prevent mosquito larvae from maturing into adults. They reduce the summer mosquito population significantly. Basins will be tested periodically to assure that the larvicide is doing its job. DPS is also responsible for treating areas of standing water in the parks and commercial industrial areas, such as stormwater retention and detention ponds with fountains and with larvicide on a monthly basis. Staff and I recommend the council approve the resolution to allow the city to receive our reimbursement from Oakland County in the amount of $3,910.84.
Thank you. What's the wish of City Council?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Clark.
I'd make a motion to approve the resolution to allow the city to receive reimbursement from Oakland County in the amount of $3,910.84.
Thank you, sir. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Gettings?
Support.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion on this item? See, there was a motion made by Councilman Clark, seconded by Councilman Gettings, to approve the resolution allowing the city to receive reimbursement from Oakland County in the amount of $3,910.84 regarding the West Nile virus abatement reimbursement. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. The next report is D2 from the Deputy City Manager regarding budget amendments and carry forwards. Mr. Myers?
Yes, Your Honor. The state of Michigan's budget law requires that any budget amendments be approved by council. The budget amendments are submitted to ensure that the fiscal 2017 and fiscal 2018 budgets are in compliance with state law. Accordingly, staff and I recommend that council approve the proposed budget amendments and carry forwards and the appropriation of the necessary funds as presented. And I would note, because this is an appropriation of funds, a 5-vote supermajority is required.
Thank you. What's the wish of City Council?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Corbett?
Sir, I move that the council approve the proposed budget amendments and carry forwards and the appropriation of the necessary funds as presented.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Clark?
support.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item? All right, motion made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilman Clark to approve the budget amendments and carry forward items and approve the appropriations of these items. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries. The next report is D3 from the Community Development Director, and it's the tax abatement policy amendment. Mr. Myers?
The city's adopted fiscal 2017 goal plan includes the review and update of the city's current tax abatement policy to reflect the recent changes to the state personal property tax exemption, including a review of the eligibility criteria and application procedures. A committee consisting of the city manager, deputy city manager, city attorney, and community development staff conducted a complete review of the policy and recommends the proposed tax abatement policy for council's consideration. A summary of the major changes in the tax abatement policy include, number one, elimination of the previous and complex IFT qualification sheet with a streamlined matrix that eliminates the personal property tax consideration to determine minimum criteria and years of eligible abatement. Number two, elimination of the new and retained jobs criteria with eligibility solely based on real property capital investment with a minimum real property capital investment of $1 million. Number 3, an incentive for our current Madison Heights-based companies to receive additional abatement based on the number of years that they've been in Madison Heights. Number 4, no change to the maximum grant period, which remains at no longer than 10 years. And finally, number 5, just to note that there will be no change or effect to the certificates that have received prior tax abatements. So staff and I recommend approval of the new council policy in accordance with our goal plan.
Thank you. What's the wish of City Council?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Clark.
I'd make a motion to approve the tax abatement policy amendments.
Thank you, sir. Is there support? Mr. Soltis. Support. Thank you. So a motion made by Councilman Clark, seconded by Councilman Soltis to approve the tax abatement policy amendments as presented by staff. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor?
Mr. Bliss?
I know staff put in a lot of time and effort into this, and we kind of glossed over some of the major changes, but I would love to have a couple of minutes where perhaps our city manager could go over some of the goals of what we were trying to accomplish with this policy change. It seems like it's much more streamlined and it's more inclusive, and then the prioritization for longtime Madison Heights businesses is included in there. But I'd just love to hear a little more overarching, what were the goals as this was compiled?
Well, Your Honor, the primary reason for this goal was the state law that eliminated personal property tax and the need to update our policy to reflect that point. That was the overarching purpose in this goal and why we undertook it. The philosophical change that we put in here was to recognize that we have a number of businesses that have been in Madison Heights and to reflect that in terms of their investment in new real property versus what we see in the state of Michigan of leapfrogging companies going from one community to another to find the best deal. And we as a staff felt that really wasn't equitable for our current businesses that have been here in Madison Heights and paying taxes all these years, and especially those that now want to make investments. So, and Mr. Schaefer's here if he wishes to add anything. He was instrumental in drafting the policy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The only thing that I would add is also to simplify for an understanding of how we come up with the calculations for our businesses. Under the previous calculation methodology, we often couldn't tell them immediately how long and for how much they would qualify for these abatements because it was a fairly complex equation with a number of different variables that were plugged in at the time. So the idea behind this was not only to deal with the state law change and provide some incentive for our longtime city businesses, but also make it easier for them to understand going in right up front. So when they're first starting to talk about those major capital investments, they can then look to this and see if this is something that will help them out in the future.
So, thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries. All right, we have 5 more reports. These are the ones we added earlier. So report D4 is regarding the agreement with the TPOAM union. What's the wish? Oh, Mr. Myers?
Just one simple comment that the city's bargaining team and staff and I recommend approval of all these tentative agreements, which give us 1-year extension and extending our current contracts through June 30 of 2018. That applies to all of these. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, what's the wish of City Council regarding the Municipal Employees Technical Professional and Office Worker Association?
Your Honor.
Mr. Corbett.
So I move that the council approve the tentative agreement which was reached with the Municipal Employees Technical Professional and Office Workers Association, otherwise known as TPOAM.
Thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor.
Mr. Bliss?
I second.
Thank you. Motion made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bliss, to approve the tentative agreement with TPOAM. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries. What's the wish of council regarding the tentative agreement with AFSCME 25, the department heads union?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Corbett?
Sir, I move that the council approve the tentative agreement which was reached with the Department Heads Union, AFSCME Council 25, Local 1917.34.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Gettings?
support.
Thank you, sir. Motion made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilman Gettings, to approve the tentative agreement with the Department Heads Union, AFSCME Local 1917-34. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries. What's the wish of council regarding the tentative agreement with the Supervisors and Assistants Union?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Corbett?
I'm on a roll. I move that the council approve the tentative agreement reached with the Supervisors and Assistants Union, AFSCME Council 25, also Local 1917.33.
Thank you, sir. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Mr. Bliss?
I second.
Thank you. Motion made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bliss, to approve the tentative agreement with the Supervisors and Assistants Union, AFSCME Local 1917-33. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say no. The motion carries. What's the wish of council regarding the tentative agreement with the court?
Mr. Mayor?
You're the man.
I move that the council approve the tentative agreement between the 43rd District Court employees. Did I jump one?
No, you got it.
No, I'm fine. Okay, between the 43rd District Court Employees Union and the 43rd District Court.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Gettings?
support.
Thank you, sir. Motion made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilman Gettings, to approve the tentative agreement between the city and the 43rd District Court Employees Union and the 43rd District Court. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say no. Motion carries. What's the wish of council regarding the tentative agreement with DPS?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Corbett?
move that the council approve the tentative agreement reached with the Madison Heights TPO-AM Department of Public Service workers.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Clark?
support.
Thank you, sir. Motion made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilman Clark, to approve the tentative agreement with TPO-AM, the Department of Public Services workers. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed, say no. The motion carries. All five of them do. Okay. Moving on, we have nothing under item E, so we'll go to item F, bid awards and purchases. We have one this evening. It's from the DPS director, the spray patch road repair work. Mr. Myers?
Yes, Your Honor. Staff and I recommend that council approve the bid for the 2017-18 annual spray patch road repair project to Spray Patch Road Repair of Madison Heights for the unit prices listed in the bid for spray patching work as needed, not to exceed the budgeted amount of $110,000, and that includes the $55,000 carry forward, which was just approved by council. Staff and I further recommend approval of SJR Pavement Repair of Warren as a backup contractor should spray patch road repair be unable to complete the work in a timely or professional manner, and that would also be for the unit prices listed in the bid tabulation.
Thank you. What's the wish of City Council?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Clark?
I'd make a motion to approve spray patch road repair work.
As recommended by staff.
Correct.
Is there support?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Gettings?
support.
Thank you. A motion made by Councilman Clark, supported by Councilman Gettings, to approve the 2017-18 annual spray patch road repair project as recommended by staff.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Sherman?
just to clarify the issue, the second part, and could be handled separately if council were so inclined, but The second part of the motion, if it's recommended by staff, would be to approve SJR Pavement Repair of Warren as a backup contractor should the original bidder who it was awarded to didn't do the work in a timely or professional manner. So, Mr. Clark, do you agree with that,
Yes.
adding that?
Yes, I do.
Does support agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, so I'll restate the motion made by Councilman Clark, seconded by Councilman Gettings, to adopt staff's recommendation to approve the Spray Patch Road Repair Work Program, and additionally to further approve the backup contractor as SJR Pavement Repair of Warren if the original contractor is unable to complete the work. Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Soltis?
I'm curious, so I was reading this over, I know it's 110,000, but it says that the only two vendors submitted bids, and they were identical? Has that ever happened before?
Your Honor, that struck me as peculiar, too. And so I went back to the bids and verified that both Spray Patch Repair and SJR Pavement Repair filed the correct signed non-collusion affidavit. I haven't seen that before, but we've done work with both companies. Actually, Spray Patch Repair is out of Madison Heights. They've done work, and SJR is done separately. But I don't have an explanation for that. It struck me odd, too, and that's why I looked at the affidavit.
And can you just go over real quick why you chose the one as opposed to the other?
Why did you choose the one company over the other?
Mr. Vitale.
Prices were equal. What tipped the scale?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. In looking at both prices, I actually would like to answer your first question in terms of identical bids. In 2016, when we bid all of the R1 and R2 road work for Spray Patch Road Repair, the bids were very, very close at that point, too. So to see both bidders bid the same amount does not surprise me, to be honest with you. It's very competitive with these two, and I think they both really just sharpened their pencil, to be honest with you. So the pricing being the same didn't catch me too much off guard. The second part of that is why did we choose Spray Patch over the other contractor? We've had sizably more experience with Spray Patch out of Madison Heights, and in terms of the product holding up substantially better year to year, we've noticed that with Spray Patch as opposed to SJR. The year that we mobilized SJR for the R1 and R2 road work, they had to come back and do a sizable amount of warranty work, and we didn't see that with Spray Patch. So I think we saw favorable results with Spray Patch. The results were much better in terms of the product. So,
if you don't mind,
Please.
Your Honor. So what if the other company won the bid? Then what? We would still use them even though they have a history of these problems?
It would have been my recommendation to move forward with Spray Patch Road Repair out of Madison Heights based on prior performance. That's correct. Yes.
One thing to clarify, Your Honor, that when we did have the issues with SJR, they were rectified to our satisfaction through warranty work following the project.
That is correct. They did come back the following year, perform all of that warranty work at no cost to the city, but I just wasn't happy with the performance. I mean, the hold up of the product. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Your Honor.
Mr. Bliss?
Just as a follow-up question, typically 3 bids or more is kind of the standard that we shoot for to make sure that we're getting the appropriate price. In the past, when we've gotten less than 3 bids, staff has reached out to other contractors to make sure that is a competitive price in the market. Just wanted to confirm that was done here and that we feel very comfortable with the price that we're paying.
Yeah, in looking at the bid tab sheet, a number of vendors downloaded the specs for this, but I got to be honest, we've been doing Spray Patch work since 1999. There's really only 2 players in the game, and it's these 2 companies. And when we bid this work for the R1 and R2 work, it was SJR and Spray Patch again. So it's a good question, but this is kind of a not a complex type of work, but there's only a couple of companies that really do it. So, yeah.
Any other discussion from City Council?
Mr. Mayor, just not on the bidding process, but when applied, this is the material that for the first few days after it's applied, it granulates? I don't know the word, but I remember the first time I ran into it, I had some calls from folks over on Park Court telling me that the patchwork wasn't doing very good, and they explained that it was gravel.
Yes.
Could you just give a 20-second explanation of the process that?
Yeah, you guys may get calls again with this product. What happens is the joint is typically scarfed out of any old material. It's blown out and cleaned out, and what's applied is a tack coat material with an emulsion mix, which is a stone, and that stone sits on the top and is a little bit above grade. That wears, and that material tends to make it to the gutter or the curbs. It wears off a little bit once you get the traffic on it. We typically will let that set up for about a week, and we'll go right in behind the contractor and sweep that up. Residents will typically see that in 1 to 2 days and say, hey, there's a lot of gravel out on the road. We want to let it set up and then go in behind and sweep it. So that is really about the worst complaint we'll get in terms of applying this product, but that's usually the process.
Thank you, sir.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say no. The motion carries. All right, that brings us to adopting the minutes. Can I have a motion regarding the special council meeting of June 12th, 2017?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Clark.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes of 6/12/17 special meeting.
Thank you. Is there support for the motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Corbett?
Support.
Thank you. Motion made by Councilman Clark, seconded by Councilman Corbett, to adopt the minutes from the special council meeting of 6/12/17. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. What's the wish of council regarding the minutes of the regular meeting of 6/12/17?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Corbett.
I move that the regular meeting minutes of June 12th, 2017 be approved as printed.
Thank you. Is there support for the motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Clark.
Support.
Thank you. Motion made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilman Clark, to adopt as printed the minutes from the regular council meeting of 6/12/17. Is there discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say no. The motion carries. That brings us to appointments to boards and commissions. We do have a man we should appoint to the Senior Citizen Advisory Board. Would anyone bring that to the floor? Ed Maddiow. It'll be a 3-year term to expire June 2020.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Corbett?
I would move to move forward, Mr., and am I pronouncing this right, Medio?
I think so.
I think it's Matajow.
Matajow. Okay, my apologies. I would move his appointment to a 3-year term to fill the vacancy on the Senior Advisory Council.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Clark?
Support.
Let's see. Motion made to appoint Ed Matajow was made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilman Clark, to the Senior Citizen Advisory Board on a 3-year term expiring June 2020. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
believe- Excuse me.
Oh, is there
I'm sorry.
any no
I was
votes?
reading something else here as far as the
Oh, no,
date.
good. You're thinking
That's
ahead.
right, 2020.
So I asked for yes votes. Any no votes on Ed Matajow? All right, motion carries. He's appointed. Any other appointments to boards and commissions this evening? I didn't see any. All right, there's no executive session this evening, so before we adjourn, I'll invite any closing comments from council and the staff. Mr. Corbett, would you like to begin?
Just a couple of very quick items, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank staff and the DPS and the crew from Gospel Life who did cleanup at the and all participated in the festival yesterday at the park. It was really a great time. We enjoyed ourselves there, and I think everybody found it very very good. I had to hurry out before the fireworks, but I understand they were very well received. I'll allow others to comment on that. Just wanted to wish everybody a happy and safe 4th of July weekend upcoming. Enjoy the extra days. And that's all, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Bliss?
Yes, Your Honor. My 7-year-old said that the fireworks were the best yet. So, you know, I trust her judgment, the best that she's seen at least. It was a great festival. Everybody put in time and effort to make it awesome. I appreciate them, and I think our residents do too. And we had a lot of folks from out of town, and that's a great opportunity for them to see what Madison Heights is, for them to experience firsthand our community and the people in it. Met a lot of great people from surrounding communities like Warren and Roseville and Hazel Park, and it was just a really cool event, and nice to see the community come together. Also great that we were able to come to an agreement now with all of our employee unions. There has been, and I'm going to knock on wood, I guess, but I've been fortunate enough that in my time on council, we haven't had any contentious bargaining cycles. And that's because of a lot of hard work and just great dialogue between our staff and then the union bargaining teams. And so hats off to everybody who worked on this, who engaged in that dialogue to help this come to a quick conclusion so we can keep working on making the city better. A couple other things in related to making our city better. I spend a lot of time walking around the trails in our city. Actually, I was privileged, the city manager and I, we went on a walk around Civic Center Park the other day, and it struck me that a lot of our memorial tree plaques were in disarray. And so I'd like to formally here ask staff to look into not just how to replace those, but how do we set up a program to make sure that none fall to that level of disarray. You know, if people are there visiting the memorial tree, I want it to be in great shape. You know, those were purchased by donation by residents, and they mean something. They mean something to the city. They certainly mean something to the families. And so if we could just make sure that a formalized staff procedure is in place to make sure that every year we're replacing the ones that need to and granting some upkeep on those, I would appreciate it. Another thing that I'd like to see, and this is going to be a situation where we'll have to talk about it at a future council meeting, and I'm asking staff to put together a report, but similarly to ITAC, I believe that there's a need in our community for another committee, one that hits a pulse, one that serves a great need and purpose, and that would be one focused on arts and culture. I think it's a missing component here in our city that affects it in numerous ways, whether it's programming, the aesthetics of our community. It's something that we don't even have to look far for examples on. Like with ITEC, we had to go to California to find an example. Well, we could just look at Royal Oak. They've been doing this successfully for the last 4 years. And we've seen here in the city what a timely and enthusiastic board of citizens can accomplish, whether that's with our senior citizen board, our Parks and Rec board, ITAC. I mean, we've got so many great boards filled with experts focused on a single area that if we can grab and fill a board with actors and writers and singers and artists in this city and lean on their expertise, I'm 100% positive that we can boost our arts and culture within the city, which is something that would impact both young and old and everybody in between, to be able to have, you know, public art displays. I mean, our art show that we run annually in the city is done by the DDA. You know, it'd be great if we had a committee of artists who could help direct us and tell us how do we engage more. And let's not forget, this is the community that produced one of the most famous artists in the world with Weiland. And so I'd like to see that. I'd like to inspire more of our youth to get involved in the arts, and I'd like to create that type of a community where we're focused on arts and culture as much as we are recreation programming and bingo nights and all of the other things that make our city great. let's just add another component in. So I'd love staff to look into how we can best serve that, whether it's a similar a resolution that created ITEC with residents, council reps, and staff on the committee, what that makeup could look like, and then hopefully mirroring some of what Royal Oak put into their commission to make sure that we set this up on the right footing. But I think similar to ITEC, it'll strike a nerve in the community, and these seats will be filled very quickly once we create it. That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, with council's permission, we'll report back to council on both those items.
Yes, please. Mr. Gettings?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to thank Joe and his staff and Kirby and his staff for a beautiful festival yesterday, continuing the tradition that the city has done over 30 of them now, and it was well attended as always. And thanks to the folks that helped support it by giving their donations. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great. City Attorney, Mr. Sherman?
Your Honor, I would just wish everyone a happy and safe 4th of July holiday.
Thanks. City Manager, Mr. Myers?
Yes, Your Honor, I want to add to the thanks to staff for the festival, DPS Recreation. Also want to mention police and fire, our police reserves, our police explorers. Everyone stepped up. It was, from what I'm hearing, it was one of the smoothest ones we've had. Great fireworks show and great attendance, too. Councilman Gettings, I think you had quoted 32. This is our 32nd annual, so
I believe so.
It's a great track record, too.
85, I think. First
Although she's not here tonight, I want to extend my thanks to the Historical Commission, and especially Councilwoman Scott, Martha Kehoe, Joy Davids, and also work by Rosalind Yerman. They put together a very warm welcome and a reception for a recent gathering that we had of city retirees. They opened the Heritage Room for a tour, and the group was very impressed. And they also helped us with taking a photo for the memorial tree for our late Assistant City Manager, Aubrey Green, and we all appreciate that. Last, I'd like to encourage our residents to have a very safe and fun July 4th, and to remind everyone that under state law and city ordinance that fireworks are permitted the day before, day of, and the day after the holiday, except between midnight and 8 a.m. So please stay safe. That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Acting City Clerk, Ms. Sanchez? Mr. Clerk?
There's a couple of things, Mr. Mayor. We had a terrific crowd last night for the fireworks, well behaved, and I'd also like to thank the church for the cleanup. After everybody was gone, they started immediately, and you could never tell that there was that many people in the park the next morning. The only other thing is I attended a class in here in council chambers Saturday on deck building. There was two instructors there. One was a city inspector, and they put on a real good class telling us how to erect a deck properly. Now, if the people would just come to the city, not only for a permit for a deck, but the inspector will tell you if you need an inspection, whether it be for a deck. Sometimes he'll tell you, you don't need a certificate saying that you want to build a deck, a permit. And if you do build a deck, he will tell you, give you all the instructions that you need. And they're in the planning stages of a couple other classes as far as refinishing your basement was one of them. I hope they do have it, because I would like to attend, and I was very well informed to everything they had. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Solis.
Nothing except, those are two great ideas, Mayor Pro Tem. I think they're really good ideas to look into, especially that the artist that went here, his artwork is in Royal Oak, is it not? Isn't it the one that did the whale?
Wyland? Yeah, he's all over. You can even see his work from Comerica Park.
But does he have anything here?
Inside Lamphur High School, there's one of his first 20 whaling walls is in front of the pool.
Is it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, he's world famous. In
Yeah,
fact, I was with my family in Disney World, and there's a
Is that over
Wyland
there?
store in Disney World.
Yeah, the one in downtown Royal Oak is on Quidabo, or that restaurant. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So I commend you. Those are great ideas. Thank you.
All right, thank you to the staff and who prepared a beautiful fireworks celebration of our Independence Day this weekend. A lot of effort goes into making sure that's a safe and clean event for the public to enjoy. It was just nice to meet so many people of so many different backgrounds from so many different cities, and they can all come to Madison Heights and enjoy a nice summer evening together in peace and celebrate the independence of our country. So with that, is there any further business before City Council tonight? Okay, hearing none, the meeting is adjourned.